So I asked to meet with you because on request of the Dayton Africana Elders Council, we wanted to put together a political power segment, and
Okay.
I was asked to lead it and decided that the best way to approach developing a presentation was to meet with community leaders and talk about political power. And of course, I could not meet with community leaders without meeting with the Shenise Turner-Sloss.
I appreciate that. Thank you very
Definitely.
much.
You're very much welcome, and we
I
appreciate
want to
you.
tell you this, uh, and I mean this honestly, I do not consider myself a leader. I think that everyone in this community is a leader within their own right. And I'm just one giving voice to, to some of the issues that I feel that are important, i.e. housing, um, and just really truly putting our residents first. So I appreciate that. And like I said, there are a number of leaders in this community. I don't think it's just one. So thank
I
you.
agree with you. I agree that everyone has the potential to lead, but not everyone takes up that unction. And for me, you have taken up that unction on a number of occasions. And I want to talk about that a little bit further on in the interview. But to start off, what I would like to do is really talk about the man of the hour, Martin Luther King. Yesterday, we
Well,
celebrated what would have been his 92nd birthday.
yes.
And today, I want to talk about how you feel that Martin Luther King has impacted the politics in Dayton.
Okay.
Like, do you see remnants of his work and his leadership from the 50s in Dayton politics?
Okay. I think, so I think that is a heavy question. Um, and to be honest, and to really come from an honest, authentic place, I would say that I believe our current position where we are right now, um, it has not. And the reason why I say that is because of the fact that the city of Dayton is named as one of the most segregated cities in the country. We have continued to down spiral economically, which contradicts that of King's ideology of building economic prosperity. I believe King's questioning of democracy and capitalism can exist simultaneously, but still holds relevance in the city of Dayton. And all of the development that's taking place downtown, everything that we're seeing, but yet and still our neighborhoods are still infested with blight, devastation, and we have really not poured all of which we could into our community, into our neighborhoods, into our residents. So I think democracy within itself, it listens to the people. It listens to the voice of the people. Our Dayton elected officials, they have not done so. Instead, they are chosen to really put their interests into capitalism and to really continuing that restrictive policy that has caused the Dayton community to be labeled as one of the most segregated cities.
Mhm.
So,
I agree with you on the hyper segregation. I believe that Dayton has been named on some national lists as
exactly.
being one of the highest rated hyper segregated cities. So definitely I agree with you. And then you say something else very interesting about as far as democracy and its presence and it being a system that's representative of the people, right?
Right.
And that's how we see government as being supposedly structured in this America that we live in.
That's right.
But in Dayton, it doesn't look like that. It looks like some are benefiting from the government while others are not. So we see a widening of that gap with the haves and the have nots right here in our face. So, to you, what does political power mean?
Great question. I mean, you hit it from left to right. Not that I would expect anything less coming from you or the Elders Council. Um, To be honest, I really believe, and that's what we're doing, right? We're having a conversation about honesty and then speaking truth to power.
Please be
Right,
transparent.
exactly. I first have to say that power to me is we have the power. The people in this community, the people across this land, we have the power. And we saw that in Georgia, right? How do you flip a red state blue? We saw that. And so we have to really start capitalizing on that and understanding that the people in this city, in this county, in this country, we truly have the power. And so any type of power should not be taken for granted, nor should be used to pursue your own self-interest. And that's what we have seen from some of our elected officials, and not just speaking locally, but at all levels of government. We've seen that where people have literally taken for granted that political power. And then I think that the other thing is it is essential that we are, thank you, little noise in the background. Um, but we are intentional and that we are essentially electing those in positions that have our best interests, that really understand what power is about, and to really start making sure that they have the experience, the training, the passion, not just giving titles to these individuals, but how are you really going to serve the people in this community?
Yeah.
What are you going to do with this political power? Are you going to grab hold to it, and how are you going to best, suit best for you, and how you want to make your pockets fat? And because it's not also about always rather about that monetary means of power when you talk about political power, right?
Mhm.
There's means and ways of how you maneuver, how you're able to make certain things happen in the area, i.e. economic development, job creation. There are a number of things that come along with political power. And so again, I just think that we need to make sure that we are electing people in office that really want to give voice to the voiceless, and that want to continue to fight for those who have been marginalized and disenfranchised for far too long.
That's good, Shenise. And I love that. In fact, that might go down as one of the best answers to that question in the course of my interviews. I love the idea of political power being an asset that's dispersed and not that's contained, not that's monetary and self-serving, but
Exactly.
a true demonstration of political power would be the disbursement and distribution of the power, correct? And that's what I oftentimes have been quoted saying that you never know how much power a battery has until you plug it into something.
That's
And
right.
you never know how strong a leader is until they teach someone else how to lead.
That's right.
So I love that about you. And I really am excited about your aspirations in the political arena. But let's talk about someone else who's had some aspirations in the political arena and just recently saw a defeat in the gubernatorial race in Atlanta, Stacey Abrams.
Right.
I think about her when I think about King in terms of their organizing.
Mhm.
So I'm wondering, how can we use a little Stacey Abrams and a little King in Dayton to help us with our organizing? Have you pondered that?
Exactly. Yes. I think one other thing too that I would like to say is when we talk about and we're celebrating the life and legacy of Dr. King, we have to also remember that political power, that was what was in the heart and what represented King itself. That's what he talked about, right? It was
Yeah.
in the heart and representation of democracy and for the people. And so when you look at what Stacey Abrams was able to accomplish, and then again, the life and legacy of Dr. King, you have to keep in mind that you had two charismatic leaders. They had
Yes.
the ability and to energize, to
Mhm.
get people acclimated, to galvanize people, to want to see change, to really hold people accountable, and to say
Yes.
you have the power,
Mhm.
you have the ability to be accountable for what you want to see and how you really want to affect these changes in your community. And I think that's the interesting thing about Stacey Abrams is because yes, she led the charge, but she also, to your point, she passed the torch and said, you have the ability. It's all in you. And so I think, again, they're charismatic. They have the ability to represent people, to control their narratives. And I think that is what is not only needed in the city of Dayton, but a lot of those metropolitan urban communities across the country. And mark this down, a lot of people are taking note and they are following that blueprint. So the 21 election cycle, I believe, will be a lot different moving forward.
Okay.
People are more engaged. They want to know more about the political processes. They want to ask those pertinent questions. Where have you been? What issues are you going to address? What policies and remedies are you going to make sure that you implement to address these issues?
Right.
And let alone, what's your experience? What
Mm-hmm.
is your experience? Do you live in my community? Do I see you on the block?
Yes.
Do I see you in
Yes.
the neighborhood? Are you at the community meetings? Are you a part of these conversations? So I believe that this time right now that we're experiencing, you know, considering the pandemic, the insurrection that happened at the Capitol, all of these things are transpiring for a reason, but they're also giving voice and they're uplifting the Black and Brown community to stand firm and to stand up for what they believe in. And I'm just excited about this time. I
This
really
is
am.
the time.
It is.
And might I add, the first Black woman in the
Exactly.
White House. This
Exactly.
is definitely a monumental time in history. And with this monumental time, and individuals also working, I agree with you in terms of charisma being a necessity for, you know, a strong leader that's going to be able to galvanize the people. But what are we going to be galvanizing the people for? Let's talk about that. Like, what do you think if you could have your own agenda, Black agenda, and they say, Shenise, we want to put two things on this list for you. You've been out there, you've campaigned, you've listened to the people. What top two priorities would you put on that Black agenda?
Yeah. Another great question. And I would not deviate from this one bit, and have not, and will continue to stand fast on this. And I believe, and I'll do you one even better, just that one issue, and that's just reinvesting in true neighborhood reinvestment. Just really diving in and going into our neighborhoods and reinvesting into our neighborhoods. You would not realize that there is a huge detriment of neighborhood disinvestment and how they play and breed the tenets of the work that is to devalue Black lives. You know, when you talk about reinvestment, reinvestment brings better schools, more opportunity, better relationships with the police, more sustainable development. All of these things, you know, created under the leadership, the guidance, and the emphasis in making our neighborhoods a priority. Because I mean, think about it. When you look at some of our Dayton neighborhoods that are on, you know, the cusp, that are really distressed, they're suffering from disinvestment. You have blighted structures. You have the loss of retail stores. You have the loss of a grocery store. You have all these different things that are taking place that is causing the disinvestment, and for people in that community to feel hopelessness.
Yeah.
And so when you start pouring into the community, start adding dollars in this community, as far as trimming the trees, making sure that the vacant lots are cut, making sure that those abandoned structures don't stay more than 5 or 10 years. There is no way that vacant structures should be older than me and you in the city of Dayton, in our residential neighborhoods. Now, we understand it takes work, it takes dollars for a lot of those larger commercial properties, but even still, this is what I'm talking about with my candidacy in the past and even my candidacy today. We have to have policy in place to protect our people, our residents, and our city as a whole.
You're
If
right.
you want to do business in the city of Dayton, and if you're not, even as far as the developers who want to come in and they want to buy up a whole block or whatever the case may be, we need to make sure that you're reinvesting in this community.
That's
we need
right.
to have the people on this community on the job, doing the work with a livable wage.
Yes.
Not only that, if you are not able to produce within the 3 to 4 time frame, then the property itself, anything that was given to you, will be essentially revoked.
I understand that, and I appreciate that strongly. And I would love to see on our dais some commissioners who believe in community-based agreements. Don't allow developers to come into our community and to profit off of our community, because we all know that Blacks are some of the most profound and greatest consumers in this country. Don't allow them to come and eat off of us, but not feed us. Because a lot of times, as you said, what we need for vibrancy and what we need for livelihood and for hope are developed communities. We need to erase the blight. And I love that. And I love the fact that you would champion that. Did you have one more issue that you would champion?
Again, I think it will be though just that one, because I do believe
Okay.
that again, it would just
It's important.
create. It is hugely important, because when you listen, it creates small business development, economic development, job creation. It creates all of those different facets on how we really make our communities sustainable.
Yeah.
And so if we are able to again to address those issues and those ills in our community and our neighborhoods, it's like a domino effect in terms of how we really start infusing life, and to your point, vibrancy into our areas.
I love it. And one thing about talking to you, Shenise, as well, is you instill hope. There's something in your voice that I hear that says, we can make it, we can do it. The possibilities are there. And not only is it an abstract view of possibility, but it sounds like you've got some concrete methods. So I'm really excited about your next move. So let's talk about your next moves. What's next for Shenise Sloss?
So what is next is that we're definitely putting our name in the hat for the Dayton City Commission race.
All right.
You will be the next, I will be the next Dayton City Commissioner with the community's help and with the community support. And to your point, we're going to give voice to those issues. This is not about me. And that's the thing that we have to understand. Elections are not about candidates.
Yes.
This is not about me. You know, this is about policy. This is about the issues in our community. And this is about creating sustainable solutions to those issues. And that starts with policy.
I love it.
Those are the things that I'm working towards. I will not deviate from that, nor will I stop. I am the next Dayton City Commissioner. And again, I need your help, and everyone who's listening, I need their help, because we have to make change. We can't keep voting the same people. And we say this every election cycle, and then we do the same thing. But I am hopeful. I am really hopeful, and I am inspired what has taken place. And I know that the people in this community and across the country, the Black and Brown community, and our brothers and sisters from other communities, you know, our white brothers and sisters, and everyone close and near to the movement, they see the issues. You know, the death of George Floyd, the insurrection that happened on the Capitol, the death of Breonna Taylor. It's tragic that we have had to experience those losses, right? Those losses. But I also believe that it is really it's shedding a light on the ugliness in America. And this is the reckoning for us to really try to make our wrongs right. And for America to realize and to say and to see what we have failed for far too long. And like I said, I'm just really, truly inspired of the work that our community is doing as a whole. I appreciate the work that you're doing with Gem City Market. I'm excited about that.
So excited.
Yes, it is extremely exciting. We know we got other quadrants of the city that we have to address in regards to our food desert issues. But we have to do something different. We really do. We've lost a hospital. We have over 7,000 blighted structures in the city of Dayton. We're in 2020, the city of Dayton was labeled as one of the most impoverished cities in the country. That's telling. That is telling, regardless of the cuts that we've experienced from the state and the federal level, what are we doing here locally to be proactive and to make sure we are addressing those issues?
Wow, Shenise, you said a lot. And I think we need to recognize our power. First off, people often talk about empowerment, but we already have the power. It's about how we've been distributing it. We've got some powerhouses such as yourself. I'm excited about checking your box on my ballot sheet in this coming election in May and then again in November. And most importantly, I'm excited about other people actually getting out to vote, because we cannot have ourselves expect change and not be willing to exact it. And I think that when you say, we have, not been getting what we want, we have not been showing up at the polls. 12,000 out of a 70,000+ voting block, that's not acceptable. So if we expect to have Shenise Turner-Sloss, champion our cause and defending us downtown at the city hall, we need to make sure that we put Shenise Turner-Sloss at the city hall. And we can do that by simply making it a priority to get up, get out, and go vote, because that is where our power is. That is how we show up at the polls. Because as long as we don't show up, neither will our agenda. So right. I really appreciate.
We're gonna put you on the chair on the trail, can you? You going on?
I'm with you. I'm down for the cause. If you didn't know it, now you know. I'm down for the cause. So feel free, call me up. Let me know what you need me to do. You need me to make phone calls, beat the pavement, whatever it is you need me to do. I'll volunteer and do it for you. So just let me know, and I'm here for you, Captain.
Appreciate it. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for all you do, your leadership and the work. Like you said, we have so many people and organizations in the city of Dayton that's doing the work, and I cannot,
It's a strong time, but we need it to be stronger. I want to be represented, because even 12,000, we have to figure those numbers in terms of Black and brown bodies, and how many Black and brown bodies of our block have actually went out and made some decisions about who's going to represent them. Because at the end of the day, we need to be represented. And I'm talking about the future. And I think, Shenise Turner-Sloss, I think you are the future. And I want to see you represent me in City Hall. So
all right, yes, we got it.
Anything that I can do.
Yes.
Just like I said, my number, call me.
I'm going to use it too.
All right. Have a great day. And I appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you. Peace.